Barnaby, Joyce, thank you so much for joining me from Danglema. Just 4 new infections today across the whole country. What does that make you think? That the panic over the coronavirus, was it over the top?
Well, it makes me think that the Australian people are diligently doing what they're supposed to do with social isolation, keeping their hands clean, avoiding unnecessary risk. But we have to be mindful of the fact that these are the same people who are going to need an economy. And these are the same people who are going to have to pay off around about $1 trillion in debt, or be responsible for financing $1 trillion in debt down the track. So this is not a case of anything that the coronavirus asks for, you give it. It's a case of balanced prerogatives.
Talking about those bans, obviously, as you say, they're causing tremendous damage. You've got millions of people obviously cooped up in their homes. You've got nearly 800,000 Australians losing their jobs in just 3 weeks. You've got businesses like Virgin going to the wall. If we've got only 4 infections in 24 hours and we've had basically this infection rate right down pretty low for a week and a half, 2 weeks, when would you like to see bans starting to loosen?
I think we have to start stepping out of it as we speak. I think we have to take into account the small shops on the high street, and we have to work out how we can act in a responsible way, but give them a business at the same time. I'm really concerned about what happens after this. I think that the recession may not be overplayed. I think that could be a very real problem. And if we get 2 of them for a severe recession, it could have an incredible effect on people's opportunity of having a job and having a future and making their house payments. So that's why I think that the Australian people have done a remarkable job. And now we have to work within that set of guidelines to get the economy back up and running. And of course, other things that I think belong on the left, and I think I'm sort of on my own on this one, such as an app to tell you who I speak to. I think that is a step too far.
Well, I think by the time they roll it out, there won't be anyone to actually trigger it with, because there won't be many people with coronavirus. The thing is,
and I know
with
the Australian people, they're not going to use it.
Oh, I
know the Australian people, they won't use it.
Look, I see that too, Barnaby. Look, you were Deputy Prime Minister, you've been a minister for many years as well. Yeah. Explain to me what I don't get. You see, the government, these ministers, these leaders, these premiers, this Prime Minister would be seeing the data that we can all see about how people are losing their jobs, businesses going to the wall, etc., etc. They should also see that their models predicting 150,000 deaths were absolutely wrong. We've only got 74 deaths. That's tragic, but 74 is not 150,000. Why won't they admit that they overreacted and start pulling back now?
Well, I suppose that in anything, well, to be frank, they'll be taking advice. But it's advice from another human being, not a god. That's what you've got to remember with bureaucrats. So you've also got to have the balance of exactly a gut feel of exactly where the economy's going as well. Look, I think that Australia should recognise that we're an incredible nation in that people are overwhelmingly compliant. They've overwhelmingly done the right things, and that's what saved our bacon. And I think people will continue to do the right thing as we step towards opening up the economy again. But if you want to, I do get a sense that there are some people out there who won't be happy to have actually destroyed the economy. And I think they reside on the left, and you know they get a sort of almost a sense of glee that as we come out of this, I say, there you go, the old Conservatives, $1 trillion in debt, complete recession, you know, complete basket case. And they know the history books like we do. We know that Scullin got turfed during the Great Depression. We know Keating got turfed during the recession. We know Rudd got turfed during the GFC. And they'd be saying, well, we'll rely on history, not so much on health. And we reckon we've got a fair shot at these fellas come the next election if things go the way we want them to go, which is badly for them.
Well, that brings me to that my last question exactly, Barnaby. For instance, I'll give you an example. We yesterday read that the government was boasting that it's getting 7,500 ventilators to treat people with coronavirus. 7,500, when at the moment just 33 are needed. 33. This has been a spectacular overreaction, comes at an enormous cost that we've talked about. And I just wonder, in a year, in 2 years, come out to the election, are voters going to thank the government for keeping the death toll probably to under 100, let's say 200, or are they going to punish the government for the bill that we will be paying for years?
Well, they're going to ask how's their life at that point in time. As you know, Andrew, during elections, the things you even call them over are forgotten a few weeks down the track. So what happened a couple of years ago is not going to resonate. It should, but it won't. What will resonate in their lives is exactly how their lives are going. You know, are they in a job? Do they have a business? Sometimes I think for our side, it's not so much that they vote for the Labor Party, but they can get angry and vote against us. Now, I know it's a long way from election, but I think that we've got to now start taking diligent steps to understand that our strong suite is economics, and we've got to make sure that come the next election we have a strong economy. I do have a concern also about this sort of Keynesian pump priming approach. It has its role, but its role is after a depression or after a war where there's a hell of a lot of upside in where the economy can go. But we were coming off basically a bull market, so the upside for us wasn't as present as it has been historically. And what happens with Keynesian types of economics, of course, you do the pump priming, but we're doing it with other people's money. And one of the perverse things is we're doing it with borrowed money. And I bet you a lot of that borrowed money comes from China, the people who gave us a problem in the first place.
Yeah, well, I think even more of the money will be robbed from our children and grandchildren. But there you go. Barnaby, Joyce, thank you.
They'll have to pay it back. They have to pay it back.
They will, and they're not going to thank us, I think. Barnaby, Joyce, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, sir.